Okay, so we're on section 2.1, day 2. This is it's kind of hard to read here, but I'll zoom in when needed. So, you guys, this is it's a pretty simple lesson today, and what I want to focus on is just coming down here to this dot plot. Okay, so let's say that I wish I had data from your guys' test that you just took, but I don't have that yet, so I'll just use this one. But this is just some made up data. It says that it's a sample of 30 test scores from this AP Stats class somewhere. Okay, and the max points on the test was 50. And so this dot represents right here, looks like around 22 and a half out of 50 or 25 out of 50. So this student got a 50%. Okay, so look, there's 50 points here. I'm sorry, there's 30 test scores here. The question that we're going to talk about today is what happens if I really didn't like the results as the teacher and I wanted to add 5 points to each test score. Okay, how does this affect the shape, the center, and the spread? And so down here, what we're going to do is we're going to write down shape, center, and spread. And what I want to do before I just show you the numbers to it is just think about what would happen, right? Wouldn't this dot right here, 25, go up to 30? And all these dots would move to the right 5. So it seems like this entire graph, right, that went from here to here would now go right 5 and start here and go to here. And so literally, if you could pick up this data and just shift it to the right a little bit, that's what happens. Okay, so did the shape change, right? If I literally just slid this 5 to the right, no, it stayed exactly the same. So from our calculations, the shape of the distribution will remain the same. Okay, so we're talking about these three things they asked us. The shape of the distribution will remain the same. And again, how come? Well, we looked at this and we said, well, if everything gets 5 added to it, it's literally just going to get picked up, moved over, and set back down. Okay, so what about the center? Well, what is center? Center from last chapter is talking about mean or median. Okay, so let's say the average is somewhere right around here. Okay, it actually tells us what it is. It's right here. The average is 35.8, so I'll just go right around here. Okay, so if that's the average, think about what would happen if all of those dots went up right to the 5. That average seems like it would just also come up. Because again, you're just moving this to the right, the average should go up. Okay, so our belief is the center, right, the mean, and the median both should go up 5. That's kind of what we're thinking. All right. And then what about spread? Well, go back to that same thing we just did. Well, I'm going to take this data, I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to move to the right 5. I'm going to set it back down. My fingers are still the same distance apart, right? That spread is the same as that spread. So it's our belief, just from simple calculations of looking at it, that the spread, what are we talking about spread here? Well, the range, we've talked about the range. Another measure of spread, you guys, is the standard deviation, right? We learned that. Standard deviation tells us on average how far the data lies away from the mean. So those are measures of spread. The spread should stay the same. Okay. Well, here's our summary statistics right here. This graph, okay, you can see that this was the original scores in the test. And then these scores right here, the teacher was like, wow, that was terrible. Let's give them 5 points, everyone. And you can see that this dot right here just shifted to the right 5, as did this dot. So everything just moved to the right 5. So we still have 30 data points, but look what happened to our center. Our average was 35.8, now it's 40.8, so it went up 5. What about the standard deviation, right? S sub x, this is the same, like we said, okay? What about the median? Just like we said, it should go up 5. It was at 37, it went up 5 because the center will change. And then look at our spread here, range, same, okay? And then visually, right, if you drew a smooth curve over this, your curve looks exactly the same, so the shape stays the same. Okay? So very simple. Given a set of data, If, that's what these boxes are up here, okay, it summarizes it for you. If you add, right, the same positive number or subtract, what happens? It tells you right here exactly what we talked about. Okay. All right. Now, the last part of today, it's just a quick lesson today, is let's look at those same scores. Okay. But the teacher decided to do something else. The teacher decided to multiply each score by 2, right? So that it's out of 100, and then basically you're looking at percents. Okay, so if I zoom in here, remember, you guys, I said this score right here was like 25. So we know that if we did some math, 25 out of 50 would have been a 50%. So what happened is we took all these dots and we multiplied them all by 2, and we got something else. So look at this, and then look at this. It seems like this got more spread out. Okay, so as we just are looking, without looking at these numbers yet, as far as we can tell, the shape changed. Okay. All right. And then let's talk about center. Well, the center here was right about there, but then, it got kind of more spread out. So, I feel like it's definitely going to change. The center will change. And we don't really know what it changed by yet, but we can tell it changed. And what about the spread? Well, multiplying by 2 definitely changed it, right? Think about the range here, there to there versus there to there. Seems like it got much bigger. So it also changed. Okay, so just from looking at those 2 data sets, it seems like everything changed. So let's go back to the previous page, and on the right-hand side, right, the effect of multiplying or dividing, right? This is what we're talking about now, multiplying. Well, what happens to the measure of center? It all gets multiplied by whatever you did. So that teacher decided to multiply by 2. The measures of center will also be multiplied by 2. Okay, what about multiplies measures of spread? We definitely said it changed. Okay, and so yeah, it does change by whatever the teacher did. So the range was call it 10 before, it's going to be times 2 after you do that. Okay, and this one says does not change the shape. So let's go back, because we said visually, well, I guess I said visually it changed. So I do this because some students say, look, they're confusing spread with overall shape. If we cover this up, I think you guys would agree that graph is skewed left. As you multiply, it will also be skewed left. Yes, it will be more spread out, but the shape will remain the same. Okay. All right, so in summary, you guys, today's lesson and what I hope you take away from it is that I can give you a data set. If I give you that data set, which this homework down here will test, right? There'll be questions on it. What happens when you add a value to every single data point, right? What happens to our main things? What happens to the shape, the center, and the spread? Adding is different than multiplying. Okay, so you should know, right? You'll have notes on assessments, but if you could keep those little boxes right here on this first page, it will remind you what happens when you add or subtract something to data versus multiply and divide. Okay, take care.